Mariners win 6-2. They improve to 55-51 on the season. They take the first of the 3-game set against the Boston Red Sox. They've won something like 5 of 6. Talk about how it happened. First inning, poor start. Jaron Duran steals second. He gets to third on an error by Murphy. He scores on an error by Julio. 1-0. Big Dumper answers back in the second with a homer. Big Dumper gives the Mariners a lead with a homer in the seventh. That's 2-1, and the Mariners have a terrific eighth inning. Julio Rodriguez with a clutch single to score a couple of runs to make it 4-1. Eugenio Suarez singles 5-1, and Teoscar Hernandez, in what could be his final at bat as a Seattle Mariner, gets an infield single to make it 6-1. Ninth inning, Justin Turner does single homer run in the ninth to make it 6-2, but the game ends with a terrific defensive play by J.P. Crawford. We'll certainly talk about that. That's all it wrote, 6-2. Okay, I know what everyone wants me to talk about. Or I know why everyone's here. No, I don't know. You want me to talk about the Paul Sewald trade, right? I'm going to tomorrow during my live show, 2 o'clock Pacific time. I will give you all of my thoughts. If you want to know my immediate thoughts, you can check out my Twitter. Here's what I'll just say real quick. It's a fair value trade that I hate. There you go. That's all I'm really going to talk about with that trade. We'll break down that and what I think will be a couple more Seattle Mariner moves. Whether we like them or not, they're coming, I think, tomorrow. And I'll be live at 2 o'clock to discuss that move and anything else that they do, including the AJ Pollock trade, which also happened today and did not seem to upset a whole heck of a lot of people like the other one did, for good reason. Negatives. Ty France had a really poor game in what may be his final game as a Seattle Mariner. I don't think so, but there's enough smoke that there might be a little bit of fire. Anything else real negative? Julio had a pretty poor game, actually, offensively until that hit, but it was a big hit. And congratulations to him on extending that on base streak. Isaiah Campbell looked terrible. Very fortunate to escape with just a 1 run. The Munoz situation is a weird one, and I don't really know what was going on there. Throwing only 6 pitches, I would have brought him back out, but I think once it became a 5-run lead, they really wanted to save him. Saucedo does the job. Matt Brash does a really nice job. It's great to see Matt Brash having an inning and a third of scoreless baseball without a strikeout. How often does that happen? Gabe Spire works around his 2 hits, and then, of course, Kirby. Look, this was not Kirby at his most efficient, but after the first inning, he was fantastic. Very, very strong start. Would have been nice to see him be able to get a little deeper into games, or deep into this game, I should say, excuse me. But the outing that he put together was strong. Oh, one other negative. Tom Murphy he actually made a really nice defensive play in the 9th inning on that pop-up. I don't think people necessarily understand how hard that play is. That ball that's right over your head for a catcher. It's a really tough play to make. He did a nice job tracking it down. But he can't throw. And he also, that strikeout to Duran, I know it hits the plate. You got to get in front of that. I do think, and somebody brought this up to me, it's certainly possible that one of the reasons we're seeing Murphy behind the plate a little bit more lately with Raleigh at DH is that they might be showcasing him. Free agent at the end of the year. Wouldn't shock me if somebody was making a move for him. If scouts are saying, we want to see him behind the plate, please and thank you. Ran into my table twice. Sorry for the shake effect. Jurassic Park. The biggest positive here, I don't want to call Cal Raleigh a superstar because he's not. But I somehow think he's become underrated. And I know we do this a bunch with him. And there's been some struggles too. 306 on base percentage is not what he was hoping for. I guarantee that. But you see the superstar, or at least the star potential, and he's pretty darn good. He is someone that you're building around, folks, in my personal opinion. He is one of the core pieces to this organization, and we don't talk a lot about him in that regard. No, he's not Julio Rodriguez. No, he's not George Kirby. No, he's not Luis Castillo. He's right in that next group, though. Like, if you were to ask me, Christopher Crawford, who you'd rather keep over the next six square number 18, I guess, over the next 6 years, Logan Gilbert or Cal Raleigh, give me Big Dumper. I'll take Big Dumper. And that's not an insult to Gilbert. It's a compliment to what I think Raleigh can be and what Raleigh is right now. He's awesome. Big win. Big win. How do you talk about this without talking about the other stuff? Because I really want you to know my thoughts on the trade, but I really want you to come for this live tomorrow. And the replay will be there for people. And I'm sure people will leave in the comments their thoughts on the trade. I'll just say this. It was another example tonight of, especially in that 8th inning, that this team is going to play its heart out. They've got some, as the kids like to say, or the adults like to say, I guess now, they've got some dog in them. This group is not going to quit. This group might look very different in 20 hours or so. Might look pretty different. But the group that will be here will play hard. Real quick on, not real quick, but let's talk about Crawford real quick, because he gets the hit, he gets the walk. That's the best defensive play I've seen him make in quite some time. I mentioned this on Twitter. I have been hard on JP Crawford's defense, and I think I've been justified in being hard on JP Crawford's defense because errors, not great, and he makes a few here and there. Sorry. Let's just turning off notifications. It's my Fantasy League's keeper date, by the way. So I'm getting a lot of notifications. I don't know what that was. I have been hard on JP Crawford's defense, not because so much of errors, and errors are bad, as we've talked about a lot, but they're not indicative of defense, which are necessarily defensive value, which we've talked about a lot too. JP Crawford has not shown a whole heck of a lot of range over the last 2 or 3 years. That was plenty of range. That was a gold glove play. And I hate saying that term because the gold gloves are such a joke. Such a joke. But that's the type of defensive play that, that's exciting. If you can see that kind of defense from JP Crawford going forward, with his ability to get on base right now and even driving the baseball a little bit, that'd be great to see. Doesn't change anything about my opinion about upgrading the middle infield, which they kind of did. We'll talk about it. I promise you we'll talk about it tomorrow. This is a tough one to recap because, well, let's talk about where they are now, right? You're 4 games over 500. It's the first time you've been 4 games over 500 the entire season, right? Right. Let's just take a look at the standings. And I should have pulled them up quicker. I'm sorry about that, guys. We take a look. First, let's look at the AOS standings because they're in this. They're only 5 games back. 5. Handful. Absolutely realistic to think that they can win this division based on the math. Hard, but certainly realistic. Now let's look at the wild card standing. Remember when Jay Buhner got really mad that the Mariners put the wild card standings up? That was awesome. 3.5 games back of the wild card spot. Tied with the Yankees, a half game back of the Angels, a game back of Boston, and then Toronto, Houston, and Tampa Bay ahead of you. You're 5 wins behind the second wild card spot. You're 10 wins behind the first wild card spot. It's very hard for me to see them getting that first wild card spot. Tampa Bay or Baltimore is going to get that spot. Or maybe Toronto. If Toronto just goes hot, 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 but they're not right now. They've lost a couple straight. They've been playing 500 baseball lately. Do you know how many teams in the wild card standings, by the way, who have won 7 of their last 10 games there? Do you know how many? 2. The Los Angeles Angels and the Seattle Mariners are the only teams that have played at 7-3 over their last 10 in the wild card standings. You got another 2 games coming up against Boston. You haven't lost a series since you lost to the Tigers, and that's the only series in the month of July that you have lost. There is reason for optimism, folks. Let's see how many people agree with me. And it's not so much you guys, it's the other guys. Let's see how much they agree with me. Because I think tomorrow's going to be fascinating. I guess there is a chance you could see them stand pat. That this move is it. These 2 moves, excuse me. Keep forgetting that they traded Pollock. I don't think so. But I'll be incredibly curious to see what the heck they do. And I'm just, we've recapped this one and all that, but I really want you guys to come out on Tuesday. Come out 2:00. No, it's the middle of the day. I know a lot of you have work and stuff like that, but just come out for a little bit. Come ask me questions. We could break down everything that happens. I'll break down the trades from the other teams. It's been a kind of interesting deadline. There aren't a whole heck of a lot of stars left to be dealt, in my opinion, but we always have one surprise, or usually have one surprise. Let's see if we get another one. Great game from Crawford. Great game from Raleigh. Huge hit from Julio. I mean, huge hit from Julio. Because the difference between that 2-1 game and a 4-1 game even is massive. And then they get a couple add-ons. But those extra runs, big. Big, 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 big. Saves you Munoz for absolutely available tomorrow, if necessary. Fun pitching matchup tomorrow. We've got Brian Bello, Safari Planet, which I joked is a terrific fantasy baseball name, against Bryce Miller. 2 very quality young hurlers. Then on Wednesday, we're going to see Cutter Crawford against JP Crawford. My sons competing against each other. Who do I root for? I think I know. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Oh, thank you guys. We got over that 600 mark. I'm a pretty competitive person, and I really set that goal of getting to 600 by the All-Star break. And it looked like I was going to come up a little bit short. We were at like 585 with like 3 hours to go. And then I pestered the heck out of people, and we got 15 more followers. In fact, I think we're at like 605 now. So thank you. It is awesome to have your support. Tough day today, and on the field and off the field for your boy. But it was good. Thank you. Thank you. And please come out tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Sports Sometimes Podcast, RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Host that every weekend. Have a couple episodes with my buddy Drewbert Silver coming up this weekend. That'll be fun. Good win. And real quick, I'm not going to talk about the trade. Thank you, Paul. You were as good of a Mariner on the field and off the field as it gets.